Everything can be reduced to one simple element upon which the individual can rely for their existence: the ability to love. On December 17th, 1903, a small wooden machine soared above the sands of North Carolina, marking humanity's first attempt to defy Earth's gravity. It was a moment when a great dream was born: to fly far away and see our world from a different angle, one unfamiliar to us. But the human who rose to the sky on wooden wings fell back to the ground of anxiety in the latter half of the 20th century. Having abandoned certainty, the voice of heaven grew faint. Religions collapsed from the eyes of modernity, and grand narratives crumbled one after another. The Western individual no longer knew what to believe in, nor where to begin mending themselves. Faith was no longer central, the homeland no longer sacred, the revolution no longer promising. Even science, which we once thought a savior, offered only more complex tools to address increasingly painful questions. Amid all this, a new sacred emerged, unexpected, but soon taking center stage in a civilization emptied of meaning. Emotions rose to occupy the core of modern life, and love became the last refuge for the weary self, the only answer still capable of sustaining the dream of salvation. Yet it was no longer love as we know it, a mere emotion, but love as an ultimate question, an effort to extract meaning from an otherwise hollow life. How did love become a question of meaning? And why is it that when we speak of it now, we so often speak of pain? To answer that, we must return to the profound transformations in the culture of feeling that swept through the Western consciousness in the mid-20th century. Truth became feeling. In the early 1960s, as the old dream of flight had already become a reality, researchers at the University of Delaware were studying human behavior in its pursuit of sensation. Little did they know that what they framed as a psychological measure would later become a precise description of the modern cultural spirit. Marvin Zuckerman and his colleagues coined the term sensation seeking, defining it as the individual's drive toward intense experiences, even at the cost of their health, wealth, psychological stability, or life itself. What began as a personal behavior gradually became the very essence of Western modern life. In the era of liquid modernity, people no longer cared about what they understood, but about what they felt, or more precisely, the intensity of what they felt. Everything became measured by the emotions it provoked. Life turned into a quest for stimulation. Sports, travel, art, even relationships, all became centered on providing the Western soul with stronger, richer, more vivid feelings, especially the feeling of renewal, which alone could fend off the creeping boredom. At first, the human being merely sought answers. Why do we live? What do we love? Who are we? But as the grand centralities collapsed, modern man found himself facing an unbearable void. And since the heart cannot accept emptiness, he sought an alternative and found it in love. In this context, emotional experience replaced truth. No longer did people search for what was right, but for what was felt. Experience became synonymous with reality. If you cried during a film, it was real. If a certain moment thrilled you, that was enough. Even religious symbols were not spared. They shifted from being gateways to guidance into fleeting emotional doses, consumed and forgotten. Western man no longer sought God, but rather something like God, without commitment or constraint. Thus, love became a religion without a creed, a salvific experience that could not save. And the more we demanded of it, the more it collapsed under its own weight. In the end, love is important, but it cannot be the new God, simply because it is not. The religion of love, with the fall of grand narratives and the rise of love as the West's new sacred, the partner became a kind of deity, the relationship a temple, and emotions daily rituals, by which one proves to themselves they are not alone, and that life still has a taste that can be grasped even for a moment. Love thus turned into a personal salvation project, laden with reverence and awe, a project to rescue the self from fragmentation, absurdity, and objectification. In this love, the partner is no longer just a person, but becomes meaning itself, a reflection of the self, a source of significance. The beloved becomes the image of all that was lost within us. Upon them, we project the warmth of the first mother, the innocence of childhood, the security of the past, and the dreams of salvation. So when they say, "I love you," we feel we still exist. And when they disappear, we fear will vanish with them. But this sanctification came at a cost. Once the beloved becomes the new God, they are expected to fulfill what no human can, to provide us with peace, to heal the wounds of our childhood, to fill all our emptiness, to show us ourselves as beautiful, to love us unconditionally, and to remain, no matter what we do. Love slowly turned from a feeling into a psychological and existential therapy. We turn to love when we fear loneliness, when we feel we are nothing. We turn to it to escape pressure, the unknown, and the symbolic death left in us by daily life. It's no wonder that Ernest Becker saw modern man replacing religion with the romantic relationship as a space to seek justification, recognition, and meaning. But the bitter irony is that love, when placed in such a role, does not heal. It becomes a tense, conditional, expectation-laden relationship, unlikely to endure. For when those expectations fail, the entire structure collapses, and one feels that life itself has lost its meaning. A flame that never lasts. The modern human was not seeking a relationship as much as they were seeking salvation from loneliness, from insignificance, from the feeling of being nothing. Yet this love came in a highly concentrated form. The love absorbed by the contemporary person is not spontaneous love, but a ready-made romantic formula promoted by media, music, and drama. Instant harmony, endless passion, perfect understanding, flawless happiness. But reality does not offer that kind of love. Reality gives us one human to another, in their flesh and anxiety, their hesitation and weakness, not an angel crafted from our imagination. And instead of waking from this dream, we blame the relationship itself for being not enough. The painful truth is, modern love does not shine forever, but modern man cannot accept this natural evolution. He demands a flame that never goes out. When the relationship collapses, one does not just lose the beloved, they lose the meaning upon which they hung all their dreams. Divorce here does not feel like separation. It feels like a second death. The death of an idea, a value, a salvation we thought would come through the other. And when the beloved vanishes, the person feels as though their very self disappeared with them. They ask themselves, did we really love? Or were we merely running from ourselves into the other? Was the beloved a mirror of what we longed for? Or a mirage we crafted to conceal our wounds? Perhaps love was not a lie, but when we burdened it with the unbearable, when we made it a god, it collapsed. Because a relationship expected to save a person from existential anxiety cannot survive. Modern man asked love to be a god.